Welcome to this edition of Weather to Watch on Friday, January 24th, 2025. Well, here's what I'm watching, and if you've been shivering and freezing, then this will be good news for you. So there's a pattern shift that will warm many folks in the lower 48. Not everyone, but most people will see a warming. We also have rain in Southern California. Very good news for those folks. That's coming up sooner than you think, actually. There's a cutoff low that'll be developing that will influence the weather over the southwestern and the southern U.S. We'll talk a little bit about that. That leads to that deep south rain that's listed next. And where will the cold air be, if it is anywhere at all? We'll talk a little bit about that with this pattern shift as well. We have a visible satellite loop here, so everyone is generally kind of quiet. There's not a lot of active weather going on at this hour, and that's certainly some good news since we've had some active weather over the last couple of weeks, to say the least. If I put the steering flow or the 500 millibar flow on top of this, this pattern has changed a little bit. We were carving out a lot of cold air with the red lines flowing deep south like this. That produced single-digit low temperatures in Louisiana just a couple of days ago. Well, this is a little milder, and we have one trough of low pressure here on the East Coast, another one kind of coming into Canada here, and this will put slight reinforcing shots of cool air into the northern plains, but nothing like they saw with the minus 20s for lows or even close to minus 30. Nothing like that is returning here for a while. As a matter of fact, the pattern is changing. Okay, here's the steering flow, 500 millibar over the next 7 days or so, and you'll notice one departing system on the East Coast, a zonal flow here. This is the cutoff low I'm talking about, and notice all the energy, all the wind energy up here in southern Canada and kind of making its way, digging into the New England area and the eastern Great Lakes. If you're wondering where the cold air is going to be, that's it. Meanwhile, this weather system kind of travels underneath this ridge of high pressure and opens up, and that's what's going to open up the rain machine, I think, in the south later in the week. And this system actually will, I think, spread precipitation ultimately a lot further north. Now, this is just the GFS's idea of what's going to happen. It's one model that we look at, but I have a feeling for the next, let's say, 5 days, that's going to be pretty accurate. Let's take a look at some things here. Here's the high temperature and high temperature departure as forecast by the Weather Service outlets here on Tuesday, just to pick a day. And you can see that the cutoff low is actually going to cool people. So if you see those green colors, that's a little bit below normal pattern. But here's a refreshing change. All this area here, for the most part, maybe not around the Great Lakes so much, but look at some of these areas here where you're far, far above normal for a change. These are the same areas that had high temperatures below zero. Well, if we take a look at a sample here, here's Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and you can see their temperature pattern will change to black here. Is really improving quite a bit. There's that temporary shot of cool air I was just showing you on the 500 millibar forecast, but we start getting well above 40 here for a couple of days, beginning on Monday and on Tuesday. And in fact, the 6 to 10 day temperature forecast is encouraging in that much of the central, northern, southern U.S. is going to be experiencing a warmer pattern of air. And the areas I already identified are showing right up just on cue, where the jet stream is going to enforce cold air in the northeast, and where the cutoff low is really cloud cover and also just cutoff temperature patterns are what make the center of those types of systems a little cooler, along with rain that could occur with that as well. Here's a look at the snow depth. We still have a lot of snow left over from a storm that happened weeks ago there in parts of Kansas. Of course, the latest snow track that stunned everybody with blizzard warnings in Louisiana. Still can't believe I'm saying that. Still very visible. And some of these storms are still visible. A combination of a storm and some orographic lifting there in West Virginia put down some hefty snow totals. And the banding connected with lake effect snow, very obvious in these areas here along the eastern shore of Lake Michigan. So yeah, are we done with the snow? Well, yeah, I think generally speaking, we don't have a lot in the forecast. It is still a little bit of a concern with lake effect as you look at the Friday afternoon radar loop in New York and Pennsylvania. You still have, I put the winds on top of here. You can still see there's a fetch of wind across the lakes. And the thing of it is that the reason why that the eastern lakes get more attention generally speaking, in lake effect snow areas like this is because they're longer lakes with respect to the orientation that the wind typically takes. So if it has any kind of westerly component, it gets to blow all across the length of Lake Erie and all across the length of Lake Ontario. So that's why they hit the news a lot. And the population centers out there are a little bit bigger too. Winter weather advisory in the predictable areas south of Buffalo, winter storm warning around Oswego, New York. That is not a permanent condition, but I will say if you're looking at the jet stream digging into the northeastern U.S., that's going to encourage lake effect snows to continue because you've got cold air over still relatively warm water. Still a red flag warning in effect for much of South and southwestern California. Fires are ongoing near San Diego and also north and northwest of Los Angeles, so it's still a very serious condition. And so the good news here, and I'm going to show you this is the GFS's total precipitation forecast for this area through Monday. So most of this is going to occur not tonight, but through the weekend and into early Monday morning. You're looking at a lot of totals anywhere between, let's say, 1/3 of an inch upwards of maybe 0.8 of an inch around Riverside. So that would be perfect for those folks. Anytime you have rainfall and a decrease of any type of condition that can produce the Santa Ana wind, that's good news for firefighters and just for everybody in general. And while we're on the subject of rain, if you look at the weather hazards, this is late week, so we're looking at Louisiana. This is funny. This is where the snows just were laid down earlier this week, and now by late in the work week, we're looking at a heavy rain potential, several inches of rain from Houston to Lake Charles, encompassing almost all of Louisiana and a small chunk of Mississippi. And then finally here today, we'll take a look at the QPF, the quantitative precipitation forecast. This is valid for 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. And you see these same areas here. If you see this lighter red right here, this more fire engine red right here and right here, that could be up to 3 inches of rain on top of some snow melt here too. So we're going to be watching for some flooding concerns in that part of the world as well. That does it for this edition of Weather to Watch. Thanks for watching. If you like it, please like it. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, I would love it. I'll see you on the next edition of Weather to Watch.